Good evening. Next session of Dr. Plotzker's Mind. And I think I would like to talk a little bit about politics. I am kind of middle of the road. I am not a swing voter. I always vote Democrat unless there is a very compelling reason not to, um, which there hasn't been for a long time. Um, I'm a little bit left of center, not hostile to progressives, but uh, they are going to keep us from controlling large amounts of government probably for the rest of my lifetime. I'm a member of the state representative district committee representing my election district, though I can't say I've done anything important, though the position has caused me to think a little bit. I was visiting Pittsburgh uh, within the last few days and opted to drive home along Route 30, which is the Lincoln Highway in Pennsylvania, which goes from one end of the state to the other. I drove about two-thirds of it, partly because I wanted to go to the Flight 93 Memorial, which is just off the Route 30, about an hour and a half from Pittsburgh, and because it goes all the way pretty much to my home, um, or just a little bit north of it. In the process, I drove through central Pennsylvania. Now, Pennsylvania is an interesting place. They have Pittsburgh on the left of the map, Philadelphia on the right of the map, and Alabama in the middle. So as I drove along Route 30, which kind of, I wouldn't say bisects it, it doesn't really bisect it in the middle. It goes southeast and then follows the southern border. Uh, but it took me through some towns that I'm familiar with. It took me through Ligonier, took me through Latrobe. I had a high school teacher who was from Latrobe, went to college in Latrobe. Took me to Bedford, and eventually to Chambersburg, Gettysburg, and York. Now, York is a very big place. York has a lot of different industries. And Chambersburg is not a small place. Chambersburg has a fair amount going on. Gettysburg is an international tourist destination. And that left the central places of Ligonier, Bedford, and not Altoona. We didn't go to Altoona. Ligonier, Bedford, and Latrobe. Now, there wasn't a whole lot in any of these places. As you go to Latrobe, there was some industry, not huge industry, but places that would have websites that would employ more than 100 people. Ligonier seemed to have less. Chambersburg seemed to have more. Bedford, all I really saw were highway services, places to get something to eat, auto parts stores. So I wondered how these people make a living in a large scale, knowing that the whole bunch of them combined, if everyone voted unanimously one way, it wouldn't move anything beyond a half county of suburban Philadelphia. But still, what is it like to live there? If you're a school teacher or a doctor or work for one of the government services, you're going to keep the same hours that I do. You're going to go home at the end of the day after a day's work. And what are you going to do when you go home? And what you're going to do is you're going to go to church, or you're going to go to a meeting, or you're going to watch television. And places to go after work, like pubs or restaurants, seem to be overrepresented. Uh, what's probably important to those people? Well, they don't have a lot. And what's probably important is that you don't take away what it is that they have. So, don't jeopardize their employer, don't jeopardize their church. Though I must say, the churches were not ubiquitous. They were there, but none of them seemed to be mega churches. But these are people who have very little. I doubt if any of the businesses that I saw, other than the medical centers, could pay more than a dozen people $150,000 a piece. They probably can't. If you're trying to uh, raise a child, you might have a business to pass on, but you probably don't. Where if you do, there are a lot of very small businesses where people put their all into it, but it will be very difficult to have a multi generational business of that type. So realistically, the kids are going to have to go off to school or the military and find their own way. Of the industrial places that are there, I assume that the low skilled workers were recruited from the communities around the factory. The more highly paid workers probably got assigned there, since these are not the headquarters of the company, but um, outposts where they did specific things for a larger company. It wasn't Appalachia. The houses were quite nice. Some parts were like Appalachia. But these are people who are not going to vote like me. These are people who have stuff, and protecting that stuff is their priority. Uh, sort of, the pure KL vote um, section that says mine is mine and yours is yours. And that's kind of what you expect, though some would say it's the uh, character of Sodom, where you only care about protecting what is yours and not particularly eager to share it or make anyone else better. And those are votes that the current Democrats can't get. There might be ways to get them, but it's quite a number of years off. If you offer these people, I don't think they're racists, though I don't know. They're more kind of self-protection, and they don't want foreigners working at their factory because then they won't be working at their factory. Uh, they have very little in the way of backup and security. So whoever offers them security gets their vote. It's not that they're um, deplorable people, they aren't, but they're willing to sign on to uh, deplorable coalitions to protect what is most important to them. And that's how I saw central Pennsylvania as differing from my more urban location, where if I need a different job or I want a different job, I can find dozens of places uh, within commuting distance that will pay me a substantial salary. Those people don't have that um, safety net and need to vote in a way that makes a surrogate for that safety net that they don't have.